Good morning, everyone. So today we are going to be writing our final draft of the personal narrative. This is the rubric that I'll use to grade your final draft. So this is the third draft, remember. So you did the initial draft, that was the first one. Then you revised it and added paragraph breaks and dialogue. And now you're going to revise it a third time, making sure that you're meeting all the requirements in the rubric. A lot of these you should probably, should already be there. So I'm going to go through the rubric with you, and you can get hold of me if you have any questions or concerns about it. So first you're going to be graded on the title. So make sure that you have a creative title, sparks the interest, it's related to the topic. This says the exposition hooks the reader, and then you have plot organization. So both of these are really about that story arc. So remember the story arc, we spent lots of time on it. The exposition is where you kind of set up the situation and you introduce your reader to the characters and to the setting and kind of what's going on. Make sure that that is interesting. There's something at the very beginning that's interesting and makes people want to continue to read. And then the plot organization is just the regular, just have a beginning, a middle, and end. Make sure you have the story arc there. Everything goes in a logical order. It's easy for people to follow your story. We know when we're moving from one place to another or from one idea to another, right? It's just easy to follow. This says shares deep feelings and emotions, and then thoughts and feelings. This is just make sure that the personal narrative includes the thoughts and feelings of the author. So it should be you, right? If it's a personal narrative. So what are you feeling or thinking at various places in the story? These next two kind of go together. Descriptive uses sensory details and uses unique words and expressions. So this is something new for this week. We talked about that vivid language and incorporating the different senses, right? Sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. So make sure that you're including those things. It really helps your reader to experience what you experienced. Simile and metaphor, right? Comparisons, using like or as, or simile, not using like or as, or a metaphor. So we did this stuff already. So if those aren't in your narrative already, go through and find places where you can add them here and there. This one is about dialogue. Develop relationships between characters using dialogue. So we spent a fair amount of time on dialogue as well. So make sure that your dialogue is in there. It's very clear who's talking. There's an appropriate amount of dialogue so that we get to know the characters in your story or your narrative, I guess. And make sure that it's quotation marks around what the people are saying. You start a new paragraph with every new speaker, that kind of thing. Here, the so what is obvious. We haven't really talked about this, but it should just be a natural part of the story writing. At the end, when your reader is reading this, at the end, they should understand why this was important. Why was this an important thing that you're talking about? And it could be something as little as, I really learned my lesson. I'll never try to take a pan out of the oven without an oven mitt. Right? It could be something really small, or it could be something life-changing. You don't have to literally state it at the end of your story. I mean, you can if you want to, if that's how you want your resolution, in the story arc to be, but you don't have to. You could just make it obvious in the story so that when the reader's done reading it, they get why this is important. And then the last one is convention. So this is all that grammar-y kind of stuff. So you're going for a perfectly grammatical paper, so no grammatical errors, no spelling, punctuation, all that kind of stuff. You can see if you have none, all the basic requirements of writing have been met, you get the full points. If there are area problems in one area, and here are the areas down here, then you get the next one in two areas. So this is what you want to look at for grammar. Standard English, so you're avoiding text speak, slang, profanity. So there's no wannas, no gunnas, things like that. Those are mostly the things that I see often with text speak and slang and profanity. Capitalization, so make sure you're capitalizing proper nouns, so people's names, the names of cities, states, countries, oceans, whatever, all that kind of stuff. Capitalize personal pronoun I. Make sure the first word of every sentence is capitalized. Spelling and word choice, use your spell check. So when you get those little colored lines under there, don't ignore them. Fix that stuff. Make sure with homophones, I'm talking about like there, and there, two, and two, your and your. All right, so make sure all that stuff is fantastic. Grammarly is a free resource available to you that you could use to check for all that stuff. Punctuation, make sure your punctuation is correct. Your sentences are ending with periods. You have commas. If you have a compound sentence, you have that comma and, comma or, whatever. With dialogue, you have quotation marks around what the people are saying. Things like that. Sentence structure, you don't want any run-on sentences or sentence fragments. We have not super recently, but definitely this year, looked at run-on sentences and sentence fragments quite a bit. And then your MLA formatting, right? It should be double spaced, 12-point Times New Roman, right? And your paragraphs should be indented. No extra white space in between your paragraphs. There's no need. That's why you indent, so we can tell one paragraph from the next. You do not need that extra white space in between them. All right, so that is the rubric. You can also see this on Google Classroom if you just want to look at a copy of it without me scrolling through or whatever. You can look at it at your own leisure. It's at the top of the page on classwork. All right, if you have questions or concerns, let me know. You have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to perfect your final draft, and then you will attach it to the assignment in Google Classroom and turn it in. If you have questions, get hold of me, and have a great day.